Welcome. Here's another video. This one is going to be about the website, building websites. And, I use Linux to do most of that kind of work, although now I'm using Windows, so we'll see how that goes from now on. But, so I started out, I wanted to build Drupal websites because that looked like it had all the neat little things I wanted. And I never could learn how to, I built some kind of like this WordPress website that was okay I worked on that website for a few years. And then I tried, learning how to do the local development environment. And I've never been able to do that. And I almost got that set up, and I heard something bad. I don't know if it was a rumor or what about Drupal, and I kind of heard a couple things that I didn't like about it, actually. And so I started trying to do Python. Instead of using PHP and Drupal, I just wanted to do Python. And the models they have are called Django and Flask are the two that I was interested in. Django is this big, like if you wanted to do a big newspaper, you could use Django to do that. And that's what it was originally designed to do, is be a news website. But you have to do everything the Django way. It's pretty strict about how you do it. And then the Flask is the opposite. It's very small, simple, and you can do whatever you want to with it. And so I figured I'd do my One World Unity website with Django and my home office website on Flask. That's kind of my plan. It's still kind of, right now it's on the back burner because I got this WordPress. I kind of finally settled on WordPress because Bluehost had this deal where you could just really easily install WordPress. And I figured, okay, it's the most popular content management system in the world right now. And so I figured, okay, well, that's what people want to use, so I'll learn how to do it. I'll build a website in WordPress and teach other people how to build WordPress websites. And it's okay. I like it. It does everything I need so far. So I do recommend doing that. As far as the programming the web goes, I recommend starting out learning C, and it's the hardest language to learn, and but I don't know if it's the hardest language to learn, but it's not. It's the oldest language. It's one of the very oldest computer programming languages, and and that's what Linux is written on. That's what Unix is written in, and Linux is written in C. And so if you learn how to C, you can do pretty much anything with a computer. Okay. And you can program computers, okay, and then the other programs will be easy to learn after that. C++, I would include that in C. It's kind of a C 2.0, is adding object-oriented programming to it. And Linux is written in C. And KDE, which is my favorite desktop, is written in C++. And, the whole Qt, in the Qt, it's called Qt ecosystem is written in C++. And this programming called QML, which is very similar to HTML. Same thing, it's a markup language, so you can create, only instead of creating applications that you run on the internet, you create applications that you run directly on your computer or anywhere else for that matter. It's what it does. You can make automobile dashboards, any kind of thing that has an electronic display, a terminal, any kind of a, like a fire alarm, it's got some little letter, you could make that with QML. And, the ones around your house and stuff. That's what That's what it does, and it's you can make all kinds of art. It's also, and the way it works is you use the C++ is what you use in the background, and the QML is what makes the pretty what you see on the screen, and you use QML and on C++ for the back end, the logic and the business and all that. And then you use QML and JavaScript on the front end to get your application to look good and function well and all that. And so that's one part of it. So you got Python, you got C and C++, and then the next language I would learn is besides QML, and is Python. And you know, and of course there's HTML and C++ and JavaScript. You got to learn those for website development, you know, programming the web. You know, those are the three main languages of the internet: is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And so you learn those, learn all these languages. You know, it's like human language. Human consciousness is the foundation of it is language. The rule of law, everything, civilization, all comes from language. It's the first rules of law. You know, it's like you have English grammar and syntax and that kind of stuff. That's language. It's the rule of law, and that's how we can understand each other. And so it's the same thing, you know, as with computers, the artificial intelligence. You know, human intelligence is based on language, and so is artificial intelligence. And these languages, and you learn these languages, enables you to be in control of the computer instead of being controlled by the computer. You know, if you could talk back to the computer and tell the computer what to do, that gives you power. It gives you power, you know, to use these tools. This is the most powerful tool ever invented. It's the computer and artificial intelligence. And, you know, and you use, WordPress is the most popular content management system. And so I do recommend that you just go ahead and start that. I recommend using the KDE, whether you use the Ubuntu, you know, Kubuntu version of it, or the Manjaro with the Arch Linux. There's Arch Linux. There used to be three good free and open source operating systems: Ubuntu, Arch, and Fedora, or Red Hat. You know, but Red Hat, IBM bought Red Hat, so I don't know how free and open source it is right now anymore. But anyway, there's those three. You know, the two main ones for are Ubuntu and Arch Linux. But you can use KDE on either one of them. And KDE is that's the front end. And the reason I like KDE and rather than GNOME, which is the kind of the original desktop environment for Linux, is GNOME for the GTK, you know, toolkit. You know, the GIMP toolkit is GTK. That it's all based on the GNOME, and came out of the Boston, you know, the MIT shop, and they, you know, made the GNOME and the GTK environment. The Qt and the KDE environment are different, but the KDE is a lot easier to learn when you first start. And, you know, so that's why I especially like to teach KDE, because it's so easy for people that are just starting using Linux to learn, because there's buttons and the visual part of it shows you what to do. It tells you what to do. Whereas with GNOME, you have to know what the commands are to type them into the terminal and tell the computer what to do. And, you know, GNOME doesn't really have that. It has a good looking desktop, but it's just not as easy to find your way around in there. And so that's the, you know, and then the other thing is you know, the Bluehost is my hosting company. There's a whole bunch of stuff you got to learn to get into that, you know, cPanel. You got to learn the cPanel. Get in there and look around and do some research and search the web and learn about how the cPanel works and hosting, and get your website started on Bluehost or whatever hosting company you decide you want to use, and build yourself a website, you know, and start creating content. And the way I recommend this kind of stuff is just get a website and start building. You know, get a computer and start using Linux, and get a website and start using whatever you're going to use, WordPress or whatever, and just keep doing it over and over again. You know, that's how you learn, by practicing. And that's, you know, I build websites, and then after that one goes along for a while and it kind of gets worn out, or I go get distracted and doing something else, and I start a new one. But you know, and this is like my 10th, or I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 15 websites I've built since 2004. You know, and it's fun. I like it. It's like a big giant puzzle. It's like a puzzle. And every piece of the puzzle is a giant complicated puzzle, you know, and it's really complex, and it's challenging, it's interesting, it's fun. You know, trying to figure all this stuff out. I probably do too much. I try to do too much, I think, sometimes, because I'm trying to do Linux and WordPress and create, you know, all these art tools like Krita and Inkscape and, you know, Creative Cloud and photography. I'm trying to do so many different things all at the same time that I kind of, you know, my learning is slow. You know, that's part of my problem, I think. And it frustrates people. Like, I got this guy to help me with the Drupal, and he got frustrated because I was trying to learn everything all at the same time instead of just focusing on Drupal, you know. But I've always had, that's why it's holistic. You know, that's just the way I think. And I like that view, this global view of you know, I see the whole world, you know, I don't just see one part of it. And you know, so, yeah, it's, you know, it's a very fascinating story, you know, and it's a very fascinating journey, learning how to build websites, how to write stories. You got to practice, read poetry, read some poetry, and learn how to write and make your stories interesting. And, you know, you got to first you got to have some activities to attract your audience to your website. And then you got to have some stories and some content on that website that keeps your audience on the website. And then you got to lead your audience to your most valuable response, which in my case would be buying the Holistic Home Office book is my most wanted response. I want you to buy my book. I want you to go to my website and read the stories on the website and watch the videos on the website and buy my book. You know, it's a teaching system. It's a holistic healing and teaching system to heal the drug addiction, the domestic violence, the homelessness, the poverty, the, you know, problems that, you know, because I was there. I was a homeless drug addict for years and for decades. I lived in a box in a junkyard for 8 years when I was kicking drugs, literally. You know, it was a camper. It was like a gutted out camper with, you know, the door didn't even close all the way, you know, and I lived in there. I had a little heater and a lamp, and I just lived in a box in a junkyard for like 8 years. But I did one good thing about that job. I worked in the junkyard pulling parts for cars. But I got clean. That was, you know, in the 1990s, and I've been clean for almost 30 years now. But I like websites, you know. It's fun. I like computers and websites, and I recommend that, you know, you can do it too. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.